In this episode, we meet Neo Poshoko, who's doing her internship in the project office at UCS Services, and her mentor is Erica Southey. This is Empowered, mentored on the job.
My name is Neo Poshoko. I'm currently working for UCSTS as the projects administrator. Hello everyone, this is our reception area, our first point of contact. Over here we have Nelly Siwe. She is awesome because she knows all of our names and there's many of us. How are you, Nelly? Say hi to everyone.
Hi, I'm okay. How are you?
Good, thank you. See you later, girl.
All right, bye.
How I feel about the current internship is mixed emotions, really. For starters, obviously I'm anxious, I'm excited, and I must say that there is a little bit of fear that goes with that because, you know, we want to impress. So I'd say that I feel driven, I feel focused, and I feel motivated regarding the current internship. I'm working for UCSTS, which is a technology solutions company, and I'm on the IT internship. So that is what I studied. I feel as though this is going to be a great start going forward for my career aspirations. This is my desk, everyone. This is where I go about doing my daily tasks. Day to day, I do anything from billing clients once a project has been completed. I also have to pull out the paperwork, which is what we use as proof that a project has been completed. I feel motivated. I'm very excited that I got chosen to be one of the interns to work with the company. I feel that when I chose to do my internship with UCS, it was because I felt as though it was a perfect match regarding the criteria that they asked for, as well as the characteristics I thought that I embody. I'm usually caught doing here is I'll be creating quotes for clients as well as doing some billing after a project has been complete. As you can see, we have an open plan office, and my colleagues and I often share a word about what's going on regarding projects at any given time, and we also just like to collaborate and help one another wherever we can. The internship entails we shift around from division to division in order to familiarize with and understand what it is that the company is doing. We also do this in order to find what it is that we would like to do come the end of the internship. I think it's very important to find a division which you can contribute and bring value to, and in the same way a division which you like to work in. Who is Erica Southey? Erica Southey is my mentor. She is the lady who I go to on a daily basis to converse with her about how we can better improve the processes that we have going on in our projects office. She also reaches out to me on a personal level as well and helps me with my career aspirations to take them to the next level.
An intern, a good intern that stands out above the rest, is somebody with passion, an inquiring mind, somebody who's willing to take on any task that they are given, and also who is teachable. Mostly in our case, we would consider an intern that would want to be in a project team who are pursuing a career in project management. And mostly interns have a choice in which department they would like to spend their time in. Neo mentioned that to me, and she specifically wanted to get more exposure to the project management office. We would typically look at somebody who is pursuing project management as a career, or who wants to use, the skills of that in a different type of role.
Before having done if we weren't rotating, you wouldn't get a full sort of understanding about what it is that the company does and how everything ties in together. So by rotating and shifting, we get to get greater exposure, and we also get to use our strengths and perhaps even grow our weaknesses through mentorship, because with every division we actually get a new mentor. In our company we have divisions such as Dischem and Mass Build and Engine. So the sort of exposure and the sort of lessons learned you carry with you to the next division, because we work on a variety of projects for big clients.
The expectation is in your secondary and tertiary, in your secondary and your tertiary institutions, the expectation when you enter the job market is that you can do the job. So I find that the type of written feedback I get is mostly in short messaging system, your mixed language, not clear-cut English business type language. And the expectation is from secondary and tertiary educational institutions, when you enter the job market, the expectation is there that you have the written and verbal skills. Then when we move from what has been theoretically taught and what happens in practice, there is a vast difference. And some of the interns struggle with that. And the expectation that it's going to be a calm and collected environment, I think, wake them up very quickly. It's sometimes a shock to the system where they enter, if I can say, they've left home and now they are in reality where they've got to make their own mark and find their own place. It's quite a shock. And I think they could be better prepared. Educational institutions, specifically university level, could give a lot more practical experience, role-playing, where interns are prepared for what they really are going to face. Tying back to specifically the written and verbal skills, English being the majority business's business language. At university level already, which I've had with conversations with lecturers and experiencing myself, is that the English is not so good. And then they do struggle in the business place, because the expectation in the business world is what you have learned in secondary and tertiary institutions, you should be ready to apply. And also the interns are not always made fully aware of the harsh realities of what happens in the business world. They are not always going to find a safe place to come into transition from the classroom to reality. And that's where I find a big disconnect.
I think that it is a good thing to get into an internship. It may not be the career path you want to follow, but any experience is better than no experience. Sitting at home, whereas you might have been employed and might have met somebody along the way who's willing to show you the ropes or show you what they're doing, I think that in itself stands for itself. You should rather get that experience, get that exposure. You'll only know what you like by having put yourself out there. On the internship, we had an executive in finance who actually approached us and said, you know, if you guys want to, if you have an interest in finance, even though we were IT interns, he still offered that we could come and shadow him and be mentored by him should we have an interest in finance. And I think that's just how it works in the real world, that the opportunities are always there. It's just that you need to take them. So cast your net wide, try and touch on this and touch on that. And if you find that you don't like this so much, leave it and go on to the next thing. And I think by doing so, you'll get closer to what it is that you really want to do in life.
Common mistakes that interns make, in my experience throughout my career, is that they come in with expectations. You should expect certain things on how you will progress in your career, but they come in with expectations and then it's not met. They sometimes get a rude awakening to what the business world is as opposed to learning in the classroom. I have also found that they do underestimate themselves sometimes, and that sometimes they are careful to speak out when they come up with a good idea. they should apply what they've learned, but they should also not suppress their own personality. They try and become somebody to everybody, and pleasing everybody is not going to work. And that's where I think a lot of them then get discouraged, or even discouraged from a role that they see themselves in the future. And most of them only have a short-term goal. I have discussed with Neo looking at a short-term goal, looking at a medium-term goal. What is a long-term plan? Where does she want to be? And then aligning your career decisions and choices to what you want to ultimately reach.
The challenges I experienced were not that big because the facilities that I was offered at UP were good enough for me to can do internet searches. Perhaps the only issue I had was finding the means to go to interviews and the time as well. I think that would be the greatest challenge that I had. My opinion about the current job market in South Africa is that there is still many gaps. There are still many opportunities which people or young people can look into and find a niche for themselves. I think that we should not fear doing something that has been done, but with a twist or better. So you have giant companies who are doing what they do very well, but if you have a new, better method of implementing a solution, I'll say, then I think that you should really develop it, you should nourish it, and you should get the funding for it. I think that one needs to look at opportunities outside of working for a corporate.
When I entered the job market, there was very much stereotyping of gender roles within certain disciplines. It was not commonly found that a woman would enter an engineering market, more nursing, teaching posts, and also I think with the very high expectation raised on education, you've got to be a top achiever, performer, and you've got to have a certain educational background, that if you perhaps did not have a university qualification as opposed to a technical diploma, it was very hard to enter a job which you could do as well as the graduates. It's very much thought patterns around roles again. That was the biggest challenge that I faced. I have to add though that there were individuals who've helped me progress through my career who did not have the stereotyping, but saw what the talents are and how I could be used to get the job done.
Everyone, meet Vilmarie. This is my colleague. She's our projects coordinator, and we work together mostly on scheduling of technicians. Her projects are always, from this date changing to this date, but it's really fun. We really have a fun time together.
An intern would usually spend a lot of time with the multidisciplinary team, but there's usually one or two people that the intern will click with, who they would go to for advice, who they would double check back on their work. But it's very much a person that they feel comfortable with and click with.
Over here we have our project schedule. This is a table that we have formulated which keeps track of all the projects that we have going in any region in South Africa, and we rely very heavily on this schedule each and every single day. So if it's not up and up to date, chaos will unfold, of course. I would encourage students to take up an internship. It's going to help you to get a greater understanding of what it is the company does. It's going to teach you the ropes, and I feel as though an internship, you're sort of in a safer environment in terms of you actually get mentored and you get protected. Whereas if you jumped into the working environment, if you mess up and you delete something that was not meant to be deleted, or you change something permanently, you get all of the flack. And you have to take a responsibility for that. Whereas when you're mentored, your mentor will obviously teach you from his experience that, listen, this you shouldn't do, this you should never do, this you can do, and so on and so forth.
Time management and communication is very important, but an overall characteristic that would tie in with both is very much to be teachable, be inquiring-minded. Time management, particularly, of course, with time agreements made with people in the value chain, with other staff members, punctuality, duration of tasks, how long it will take the intern to complete a specific task. Then also to prioritize. That is very important because you can get thrown with a lot of tasks, but they don't have the same priority level. So that's very important to, familiarize themselves with the quadrant of important and urgent, and so I can carry on. That I find some interns are so, one can say, intimidated by the tasks thrown at them, and that's where your prioritization skills come in very, very handy. Very key for me, specifically communication-wise, and what I've experienced throughout my career is English. English is the business language in most South African businesses, and then some struggle with the verbal and written skill part of that. And that sets them back because you can sit with a brilliant manager and engineer, depending on what discipline of industry you're in. And just because of the verbal and written skills, they do get shot down. I do find on a communication side that there's quite a bit of SMS, language, mix-it, that doesn't cut well. And for me, it's very important, and I encourage interns to sharpen those skills specifically. And then communication is in a sense of having an inquiring mind. And just ask, because there are no stupid questions. And it's also very important communicating your needs, your expectations, and understanding very clearly to the individuals that you deal with. And then again, communication-wise, in whatever you do, that's both professionally and personal, always do it with integrity.
What I'm doing to give me the edge over another intern in the same program is I am trying to leave an impression on the managers that I come across. So not only do I do the tasks that they've asked me to do, but I also go above and beyond that. I find a gap and you try to fill it with the skills that you have. So I've developed a website for the pharmacy division, in which it was something that they had required for years on end. And I came 1 month, developed it, and boom, now they have a website for information sharing purposes. I also try to find ways to, reduce time. If something can be done in 5 steps instead of the 15 steps they're taking, then why not? So I look at processes and see how I can better those, and I try to push the limits.
With Nao, I found with just general talks when it's over lunch or, outside of working environment, she's an exceptional young woman. She questions, she reads up, she thinks outside the box, she thinks about the future, and she thinks of how one can find solutions in the current South African setup, even globally. And that is very important, specifically with interns. If you want to make an impression, again, be teachable, ask questions, put your answers forward. If there are questions out there, give your solutions rather, and ask questions. But yes, she has shown that she stands out above the rest, purely because she thinks outside the box.
I would 100% encourage other students to take up an internship. The knowledge that you gain is so crucial. It's important to know which environment you're in, to know the company better, helps you to can deliver on your tasks a lot better with that understanding. So an internship is very vital. An internship leads you to knowing where it is that you want to go. With regards to our family, there was no one who studied IT, and also that as a female, it would also be beneficial because there's not many females in the industry that I'm working in. From a long time ago, I think she had the foresight to can see further ahead for me. My dad wanted me to go the commercial side of things. And that was because growing up, I had really been interested in business, and I'd been, in my in my high school years, those were my strengths. The commercial subjects were my strengths. The internship and the perceptions I had coming into the internship are actually very different, because having come into this environment, I have actually realized that you get pushed out of your comfort zone a lot more than you would have imagined, and you really have to thrive, and you have to make the most out of the internship. You have to find the solutions. You may not always have to apply one particular method. Sometimes you have to think out of the box. Before I came into the internship, my perception of the working environment was much like what you see in the movies that you watch. But when you get yourself, when you start, you realize that there's a vast difference.
My advice to Neo is in everything that you do it with integrity. You keep to commitments and stay focused. Keep your passion, Neo. You need to go and make your mark. Apply what you have learned, and my expectation of you is to go and be a mentor, but even be a better one than what I have given you and those around you in the project office. Remember your short-term, your medium, and your long-term goals, and always make the decisions based on what you want, because you ultimately are going to be the one who's going to work in a chosen profession, whatever it may be. And always keep your passion, always keep your teachability, and always remember, as what we've spoken, space is not even the limit. There is galaxies that have not been found yet, and maybe you are going to do it.
In the future, I'd like to start my own IT company, and in so doing, provide jobs. And I think that there's versatility in doing that, so I won't only be growing one skill, if I can say. I'll also be growing in the other fields.